There are a few ways we can convert a decimal into a percent. One is we can think of a decimal as a unit rate or a unit percentage, and we can just write that as a ratio of 0.49 to 1 and make an equivalent percentage ratio. And we can see that there is our times point. That decimal is actually our decimal multiplier. And from going from bottom to top, we're going to multiply 100 by 0.49, and that gives us 49%. So that would be one way to do it. Now there's a much easier way because all of these are all essentially unit percentages or decimal multipliers, and we're going to multiply 100 by that decimal multiplier, which means then that if we multiply by 100, we're going to move the decimal point over 2 positions. And by moving that decimal over by 2 positions, that converts it into a percentage. So that strategy can be used to convert decimals into percentages. We're essentially going to be doing this calculation here. And multiplying that decimal by 100 is going to give us move the decimal over 2 positions. So here we're going to end up with 0.34. And the opposite can be done, converting a percentage into a decimal. So here we have our decimal of 0.0034 works out to be 0.34%. Here, if I move my decimal over 2 positions, I have to make sure I put a placeholder there of 0, and I end up with 130. And that decimal, moving it that way, is going to convert it to a percentage. Same thing here. We're going to move that decimal over 2 positions, and that converts that decimal into a percent value. And the reverse can be done for a percentage into decimals, and that gives us the decimal is our decimal multiplier and our decimal percentage. So show the decimal as a fraction picture, ratio, and a percent in a hundredths grid. So looking at our percentage 44, I can kind of estimate that it's going to be a little bit less than half. So 0.44 on the number line is going to look like this. It's going to be a portion of this fraction bar. We can write this as a ratio of 44 to 100. This is a fraction as well, so this would represent 44 out of 100. So if we had 44 and 100 here, that's equivalent to 0.44 to 1 as a proportion. We can show that that proportion can show up along our number line like this. For our hundreds grid, we're going to shade 10, 20, 30, 40, and 4 places. So that represents 44 out of 100 on our hundreds grid. Here are hundreds grid. We're going to just fill out 8 out of 100, so 0.08 represents 8% or 8 out of 100. It's going to be a very small portion on our number line. And again, we can show that is proportional and parallel on the number line when we compare the decimal and the percent out of 100. As a fraction, we're going to write this as 8 out of 100, and our ratio is 8 to 10 ratio.